All right, we are back here on the Crash Report with Andy LaPlegua of COMBICHRIST. Andy, what's going on, my man?
Sitting in my little my hut and recording, you know.
What have you been doing the past year since the pandemic started?
Just like everyone else, just freaking out and trying to make a living. And no, it's actually been really good. I actually can't really complain, except from the fact that going not been on tour. It's been a really good creative year for me. I've been writing a lot. And then how it is right now. You just kind of have to figure out, how to do things from home, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. Like I'm just, I built a studio. I would never have had the studio I have now if if it wasn't for this year. I had some extra time, to put it that way, and got everything sorted and set up and dialed in, and I feel it in my new productions and stuff too. I just take my time to finally like kind of tune things in. And when before this crazy year, I always kind of smashed things in between tours and tried to get everything done and never really dialed things in the way I should have. So kind of, I guess I just took advantage of being off the road for a while.
Yeah, I mean, people probably don't know this, but obviously you and I worked together, and man, we had to cancel quite a bit of stuff last year, a ton of stuff. So lots of free time.
Yeah, no, I mean it's how it's been. So it's been crazy because it's like, oh man, something weird's going on. All right, let's push this back to April. Let's push this back to June. Let's push this back to August. Let's push this back to next year. Well, maybe it won't happen this year. Fuck it. Let's stop touring.
Yeah, no kidding. I know you were telling me you went to the mountains over the weekend. You do stuff like that a lot, probably since the pandemic started, to pass some time.
Well, I mean, the ironic part of it was that I rented a cabin in the mountains.
The Smoky Mountains or what?
Well, so this is ironic part because I never been there, so I know it's up, around LJ somewhere, or it's around Blue Ridge Mountain somewhere. It's in LJ or LEJ or whatever fuck you call it. And so I rented a cabin up there to get away from the weekend. I live in the Smoky Mountains. Like, I mean, I live on a pretty huge property in the middle of nowhere in the mountains, and I have no neighbors, and I'm completely away from everything. And then I rented this cabin to go away for the weekend, and I got there, and the cabin is in a neighborhood like 2 minutes from downtown LJ or whatever it's called. And so when I got there, I was like, man, this is like going to the city. It's like I was supposed to go to a cabin for the weekend.
Like home.
The hot tub is on the front porch, like facing the neighbors. Like I was supposed to go somewhere and relax. And I stayed for one night, and I went home. I have so much more privacy at home. So I went home to get away. So yeah, I mean, I do a lot of stuff when I can in between tours and stuff too. As soon as I have an opportunity, I go camping or just like, get away. I'm also into, like 70s boogie bands and shit. So I build them some and choppers. So I will either get on my chopper and head off for the weekend, or get in the van and just, drive to some spot and camp out for the weekend, and just get drunk with friends in the middle of nowhere and get back home. And I do that as often as I can, just to kind of, get away from all the stress and everything that comes with touring and everything. But this year, I'm kind of longing back to that craziness.
Didn't you tell me at one point you had like chickens or something too on your property?
You don't hear them. I can hear them through my headphones. I can hear my roosters. I
hear some noise in the background. Maybe that's what it is.
It's probably the rooster. One of them. Like we thought we had 20 hens and 2 roosters, and it turns out like 4 more of them were roosters. So we have like 14 hens and like 6 fucking roosters right now.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But it's cool, man. Like I dig it. We have like I said, we have a big property here, so we have a pasture on here. We have 3 horses. We got 2 dogs, 2 cats, 20 chickens, and we got 6 pythons.
Holy shit. Wow.
So I mean I like animals, So it's cool. And we got fresh eggs. Can't complain about that.
Fresh eggs are the best. I'll tell you that. So take me back to the beginning of everything. You're from Norway.
Mhm.
What was it like, growing up over there and getting into music and all that kind of stuff over in Norway?
Well, from the beginning, huh? Well, I mean, it started like I feel like my whole family well, metalheads. So
I hear a rooster now.
hey, you hear it? That's my metalhead rooster. No, but like on all different kind of specters. So like my dad was like Sabbath, Zeppelin, Deep Purple, all that stuff, and then I had another uncle who was like all the hair metal stuff, and then I had another uncle who was like German speed metal dude, like it was like Accept and stuff like that. And so I had it on all sides with different styles, and I mean I liked it all as a kid. I was like I liked it because I grew up with it, but I think it was like 9, because it was I think I was about 9 years old, because it was Dead Kennedy's "Give Me Convenience and Give Me Death" came out, and I I discovered this album by myself as a 9-year-old, and I felt like I discovered music. It was crazy. It was like I felt like I discovered music because I never heard anything like it. I heard all this metal and all this stuff, but I never heard punk rock. I was 9 years old, living in Norway, and that stuck with me, and it just spiraled from there, like into all the. I was never really in the British punk scene, but I was like the American punk scene, and so the whole 80s, that's all I listened to was punk rock. And then Jello Biafra from Dead Kennedys did a project with Al Jurgensen from Ministry called Lord. And so when that came out, that kind of brought me to Ministry, and that kind of brought me over to some of the industrial stuff, and kind of got into electronic music as well. And I don't know, in my city was like, it's kind of like it's a smaller city, so it's a town like 70,000 people, and but it's a huge underground music scene, and with a lot of talents. I mean, I feel like everybody who is something from Norway is from my town. It's weird. Apotegma Berserk. I don't know if you know, but Apotegma Berserk, Mortis, and me, we all like live on the same street.
Oh wow, yeah.
And it's just a small town, but it was so many different styles of underground music. It was like hip hop was super underground at the time. So it was like hip hop, black metal, death metal, punk rock, industrial music. So I kind of was a part of all the scenes because it was underground and it was interesting, and we all kind of played in each other's bands. Like it's like, I need a bass player. I don't know how to play bass, but I play guitar. But I can play bass in your death metal band, even though I know, even though I'm a punk rock dude. Like I don't care. Like it would be fun. And so everybody kind of had, a foot inside of each other's genres and everything. So that's how I grew up, and that's kind of what COMBICHRIST is. Like it's kind of a mix of all these things. I mean, I even bring out, like, people might not notice, but I even had like hip hop influences in some of my stuff, or death metal stuff, or hardcore stuff, or punk rock stuff, or just, well, of course, the industrial stuff. So there's a lot of different underground styles that are definitely inspired me to do what I do. So
What made you decide to come over here to the U.S.? I was reading another interview with you, and you had a quote that I thought was very interesting. You said, "I was a punk kid riding out in the streets, fighting cops, fighting neoskins, and being so full of passion. Not necessarily hate, but I was just so full of passion." So I was curious if you could maybe elaborate on that a little bit.
I mean, it was early on, uh, and I grew up, the town that I lived in was, like I said, it's a small town. Nothing really happened there, and it was kind of similar to where I'm at right now. It's like it was kind of countryside. So all I wanted to do was go to the big city. I wanted to be like a concrete punk, I wanted to be in a big city. I wanted to be on the street, and I wanted to feel the punk rock. I wanted to skateboard. Like I wanted to go motocross. I wanted to I just wanted to be wild. And I ended up going to all the punk shows. We ended up, going to the squat houses and stuff, and joining riots and fighting cops. And like I remember one of my friends who got like trampled by a cop horse one time, and we had to drag him out. And it was crazy times, man. Um, but it's not, I guess it's not a whole lot different than things that are going on right now, but it was just, that was my time to do it. And then you kind of get different priorities as you go. Yeah. You can't be wild forever.
Sure, that's very true. So you get over here, you form Combichrist, and the name came. You had like a fanzine or something, and when you were back in Norway, right? And the name came from like a character that you had in the fanzine.
Well, it more or less. Well, I made a character like that. Was kind of like a punk rock messiah, I guess. It was just, it was just something stupid, and it was just, but I had a fanzine was named Comic Christ as well. The fanzine was named Comic Christ, and it covered everything. It covered like basically what I said. It covered hardcore music. It covered electronic music. It covered like everything that I was into. So when I started Combi Christ, it was just a great name for it, because it was like the character that I made, which was kind of a wild character. It was perfect for the music I wanted to do. The fact that the fanzine had covered all the styles I wanted to kind of, you know, bring in to the project. It was just perfect. I might have given like 10 other reasons for the name at some point, but this is the one,
Yeah, I didn't know that was the name of the zine. I just thought that what I was reading was that there was just a character, but so that was the name of the zine and the
Yeah,
character.
yeah.
So you had prior to that, you had the band Icon of Coil. You released a couple things with. What happened with that band that led to starting Combichrist?
Well, Icon of Coil was a result of playing in a bunch of bands with band members, and it was all like, the punk rock and hardcore bands and stuff. And no matter what I said or what I did, it was like nobody would fucking listen, and so we never got anywhere. And everybody was so concerned about their jobs and their kids and family and stuff, which is totally cool. Like I'm not dissing that. That's everybody's personal choice. But I wanted to do music. I wanted to travel. I wanted to tour. I want to play shows. And it wasn't, I never had any aspirations or dreams to like become successful, or as a big artist or anything. I just wanted to be, I guess, successful in what I do or what I did. So like all I really wanted first, I just wanted to write songs. And then when I wrote songs, I wanted to record songs. I wanted to play in a band. And after we played in a band, I wanted to go on stage. I wanted to play shows. So everything's been baby steps the whole time. And Icon of Coil was a result of me being sick and tired of having band members and nobody could agree on anything or anything. So I jumped from playing hardcore bands and punk rock bands to doing electronic music. I was like, this is great. This is just me. I can do this. This is great. And it's completely new style for me. So I was exploring, I was writing music for a music scene that I didn't even know, you know. Like I had no idea what I was doing in that scene, but I just wrote music, and I loved the music, and I did, you know, something completely new. And it went well. I did things my way, the way that I always wanted to do things. And so I got on the road, and I haven't stopped touring since, you know. Um, but you know, after a while, the music was just too soft for me. It was just, and like I along the energy of the hardcore shows and stuff, and that's why I started COMBICHRIST instead.
You know, now with COMBICHRIST, you know, you're the main guy of the band, and you know you've done like some video games and some other kind of like, you know, composing type situations. You did there was the Devil May Cry like reboot game, and then I think Hellblade was another game that you did the music for. Is it is it difficult, you know, with COMBICHRIST, you know, it's you, you know, it's your project. And then I would imagine working on something like that, you know, you kind of have to follow some sort of guideline, maybe, you know, a little bit more than in your own band. Is it weird going from, you know, having like total freedom and COMBICHRIST to having to follow a certain direction in, you know, on other projects?
It's it's a little, it depends, and it's been a little different on different things. Like the good thing, I have to separate these things because it was very different from this like from DMC to Hellblade. It was very different, so I have to separate those two things. um like, and everything else that I've done is mostly been like synced from stuff that I already did, like you know, like Red Sparrow and the Following, and um uh, yeah, all these TV shows and movies, like two of the Underworld movies and stuff, you know. But that was all synced or licensed, so that was different, of course. But when DMC came out, the cool thing about DMC was that the game was done, and so I didn't have to come up with an idea or a feeling or a concept or anything. I had the battle scenes in front of me. It was just like, all right, we need music for the battle scenes.
So
Okay.
you would just watch it or play. Did you play it or did you watch it?
No, I was just watching the you know, I was watching the fight scenes over and over again on loop, like for each song that I was writing. Like I was just sitting there, and it was like so it came to me really easily. And then it wasn't supposed to be that heavy on the metal side. It was supposed to be more electronic. But then the more it went that way, like the guy I worked with at the Ninja Theory, the music director at the time, um, he was like, "Yeah, this is it. Continue with this. This is great." And I was like, "All right, cool." And this is just what I want to do. So cool. So it was super easy. And then when I was doing Hellblade, which was also with Ninja Theory, I started working on that music at the same time as they started doing the concept of the game. Like, so the owner of the company and we sat down and we had meetings about where to do, what directions to go, and we saw eye to eye on everything, so we knew exactly what we were going to do. And it was actually more freedom than, I think it's the most experimental thing I've ever done. Like it was just like I went as crazy as I wanted, and then sometimes I was like, "All right, this is so fucking nuts. It's great." And when it became more like structured and almost like music, like a musical piece, it almost was wrong. So it's like, because the game was about schizophrenia, so we were so loose to do whatever we wanted, like as crazy as we wanted to go.
So you were just writing off of concepts for the game. You hadn't actually seen anything.
Just concept photos and stuff like this. I started with music before they even started working on the game, really. Um, uh, so it was interesting. I kind of I feel like I kind of helped shape the game too. You know, delivering music before they even made the parks. So it was cool.
Are you a gamer yourself? Do you play these games when they come out, or is that not really your thing?
I mean, I am. I don't want to go as far to say I'm a hardcore gamer, but I am. I love playing. Like if I have time, when I have time, it's not very often I have time. But when I do, I can go on a few days bend, like. But I play mostly like Modern Warfare, and I play online and Gears of War or Halo or any like shooter games.
Oh, okay, I got you. Yeah.
And mostly play like death matches online and stuff and get my ass kicked by like 10-year-olds.
Yeah, I know how that goes.
But I love it. I love it. It's like, but then suddenly you realize like, man, I'm getting good. What a loser I am.
Probably especially during the pandemic. I mean, not much going on. You're sitting there gaming like, what the fuck?
I did. I was just like, man, I came up on top. What the fuck is wrong with me? I played much.
I know at one point, I think it was last year, you and I were talking, and I know you have like some other projects, outside of COMBICHRIST, like musical projects. Is there anything going on with that kind of stuff coming up in 2021, 2022?
Yeah. I got I actually, I'm not gonna say when or what yet because it's not official yet, so I can't really give any dates or anything yet. But I have it's funny to call it my solo project because I am the only one in every single of these projects, but it's it's kind of like self-titled project. So my LaPlegua project, which is very different from COMBICHRIST, is going to come out this year. First up is going to be a single in not too far away from now, like I think probably around March or something. I'm going to do a single, but it's different. It's more of a, like somebody said it's more grown up, and I was like, it's not more grown up. It's just happened to be, sound more like 80s, and it was like, yeah, it's because you grew up in 80s and now you're old and now you're playing music like it sounds like the 80s. And I was like, god damn it. But it's it's kind of like a mix between 80s Batcave and goth rock into like Nick Cave and Tom Waits. So it's
Okay, I got you. Yeah.
it's kind of like all over the place. So it's very different than COMBICHRIST. I mean, I've touched on a couple of acoustic things with COMBICHRIST that is kind of like it, but it's a little different. And then I have another project called Hot Logger, which is experimental, like ambient electronic ambient album mixed with like Viking stuff. Going back to Hellblade, it's kind of like where I got the inspiration from. So it's kind of like similar to the stuff that I did with Hellblade. And then, as we talked about Icon of Coil, we're working on a new single for Icon of Coil, and we're also working on something cool.
Is there going to be any live shows with Icon of Coil?
Will there ever be live shows with anything ever again?
Well, one would hope.
Well, yeah, I hope so. It's like it's just it's just me and one other guy, and he's like a college professor or something. So it's so weird. He's like the craziest person I know, and it's like the hardest party guy I know. So
Really? Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like he's a professor. He earned his stripes, to put it this way. But yeah, we just get together and do Icon of Coil strictly 100% for fun, and so we go out when we do shows. It's just like a couple of shows, and it's rare every couple of years. But we definitely want to do something if this album ever gonna get out. But it should be coming out this year, so it should be a busy year for me. LaPlegua, COMBICHRIST, Headlogger, Icon of Coil. It's all going to be this year, so I'm pretty much looking at having a release every like 3 to 4 weeks with something this year, and some months like a couple of singles. at the same time. So
And then outside of music, I know you have you mentioned earlier you work on you build bikes, right? Motorcycles.
yeah, I do choppers. I build choppers like late 60s, early 70s style choppers, but it's just, just for myself. It's not a big deal. It's not, I don't do a mass production of it. It's just like I'm working on a bike right now. That's probably going to take me another 6 months to build, just
Oh,
because.
so it's just that you don't like build bikes for other people or things like that.
Nah. I mean, if I did just build a bike that I sold to someone, um, but it's not like a business in itself where it's a full-time thing. I do it when I feel like it. I'll take a job here and there for other people if I feel like it's right, or if I have the time. And I'm into custom paint and metal flake paint and stuff like that. So I love doing it. So that's definitely going to be something I'm going to do more of this coming year too. That will be more of a online shop where I do gas tanks and stuff for choppers, and I put it online. So that would be somewhat a business, I guess. And then same thing with the hot rods and the boogie events and stuff like that too. I do it for myself. I always end up selling it, but I build it for myself, drive it for a while, and sell it.
You have a clothing line too, right?
It's under the same, yeah, Death Rod. It's kind of the same company. It's all like chopper and hot rod based stuff. So it's kind of like all under the same roof.
Is that something you've been into for a long time, or how'd you kind of get into that world?
I always loved it when I was in Norway, but there was no scene for it, or the scene that existed for it in Norway wasn't my scene. It was like it wasn't the guys that you want to hang out with. It's like the people with their like custom 50s cars who weren't the cool rockabilly kids. They were like all dudes with mullets and Crocs. And that wasn't like the scene I wanted to hang out with growing up. So, but I love the cars. I always loved the cars. And then I moved to the US, and then it was a cool kind of like a punk rock scene around it. And so that was like one of the first things I did when I moved here was to get a 52 Ford and start working on it. And it kind of everything else we went from there.
Well, I do have one more question for you before we wrap it up. You had mentioned in another interview that way back in the day you sent a demo to somebody, and that they gave you feedback, and it was great because at that time it wasn't social media wasn't a thing, and you couldn't just get in contact with whoever you wanted to. And I was curious. Well, first I wanted to know who it was that you sent some stuff to.
It actually shaped everything to come, like, because I didn't know how anything really worked, and I just had some punk rock demos, some cassettes, and I sent it to Alternative Tentacles at the time. And like I said earlier, like Dead Kennedys was the band that changed everything for me.
Yeah.
And I sent it to Alternative Tentacles, which is the label was the label for Dead Kennedys, and Jello Biafra was the one who ran the label, or still is. And I got this long letter in return, like handwritten letter, and it was so cool. But I was like, it blew like it just blew me away that it would take the time to go through the demo and like give me feedback in each and one song. And he was like, we're not really looking for any, which is always the thing. Oh, we're not really looking for any new bands right now, but it sounds great. But it wasn't like that, which was cool because it was like so detailed attention to like the different songs, and he went through everything and kind of give a review on everything. And then he gave me a distribution catalog, which was, at the time, we couldn't really just get shit like that. It was like, it's like 5 inches thick, like distribution catalog for every distribution catalog company, every mail order, every like little record shop all over the world. And he was like, you got this far, you got all the way to San Francisco from Norway, like, just why don't you just release it yourself? You can do it. Here's like, here's everybody that I use, you know what I mean? So I was like, holy shit, I can fucking do this myself. So I did. As I've done everything myself. Pretty much my whole life. After that, I've been even with the record labels. I just like spit in a handshake with the record labels because I want to do it my way. So I'm not gonna follow any rules or anything. We're just gonna do everything. 100% freedom from any label that I've been with, and it's just cool that way. Like, you're getting to be a part of it. I've been my own management. Every time I had a management, it just failed because apparently I'm unmanageable. Uh, but it's because I've been driving this vehicle myself the whole time. I don't want to hand the wheel to anyone, you know.
Yeah.
So it's difficult. So I've just been doing stuff, you know, like, fuck, you're booking me, like, you know how difficult it can be. Like, I was like, no way. at least I know what I want.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and I think that the transparency is a good thing. And I mean, you got to look out for your own bit. I mean, this is your business, your livelihood, and you got to make sure that it's getting taken care of the way it needs to be done.
Yeah. And it's just, and like, since it's not a full band where a bunch of actually members of the side together, it's not a democracy in this band. You know, it's a dictatorship. and so I run this shit for an iron fist, you know.
It feels like your microphone kind of maybe cut out or something.
Did it kind of?
Oh, there we go. Now it's back.
All right, yeah, it's a dictatorship where I run things with an iron fist, and it's I just, like you said, I know what I want. I know, and I know how to do it, and I like the people who works with me, and it is with me. I like it to be a team, but I need people to understand, you know, how I like to run things. I never do things out of pride. I never do things out of, you know, because I want, like, because I didn't have to have it my way. It's always for the best, for the best, for the band. It's or for the music and for the project. It's never because I just needed to have it my way, you know.
Well, and then circling back to that last question is about you sending into that label. You know, with the age of technology now, and being able to, like I said earlier, kind of get a hold of almost anyone you want to. Do you feel that that's kind of you know, I mean, back in the day, you know, you said in that other interview that you know, it was, and just now that you were like stoked to hear back, like, oh my God, I can't believe they got back to me. And, you know, do you think with social media has kind of taken away the, I don't know, I guess the magic, for lack of a better term, of talking to your idols or, you know, people you look up to or record companies or whoever it is? Like, it's not as cool anymore as it used to be.
Well, I don't know. It's, for me, you know, it's hard for me to say because I'm kind of in a position like a lot of my childhood idols are now my best friends. So it's kind of, it's really,
most people don't have that. Yeah.
it's really, so it's hard to put myself in the situation of other people, to be honest, because it's like every now and then it hits me like I'll be, I'll throw somebody out of my hotel room. I was like, I gotta go to bed now. You gotta piss off. And I was like, I can't believe I just threw out, you know, the singer of the band that was my favorite band when I was a kid. You know, like,
Yeah.
so it's or like carry them to their room because they're passed out drunk.
That's got to be crazy being friends with people you idolized growing up. I mean, that's
well, it's funny. It's like we were had like, it was a backstage party in what was this, Helsinki or something, and we were just fucking partying, um and there, we had like a room that would set up with like a little DJ booth and just booths and stuff, and everybody's fucking having a great party, and somebody was DJing, and I'm just hanging out with this old dude who was super cool. Like, I had no idea who he was, and he was just drunk, and, you know, everyone just like dancing. He had like no shirt on, being wild, and I was like, "Just good, dude, it's awesome." And then we all hung out for like hours, just partying. And then he left, and it's like, "Oh man, I didn't know you know Ian." And I was like, "What?" Just like, "Yeah, singer of Deep Purple." And I'm like, "Oh."
Oh my God. Wow.
And I was like, "Oh, cool. All right, cool. Yeah, whatever." And you catch yourself sometimes, like it's like you've just been hanging out with all these people, and you meet all these people, and you don't get like starstruck anymore. But back to what you were saying, there's social media and technology in itself. There's so many pros and cons. You can sit and talk for days about it, because I mean, yes, I ran my own mail order right after this whole letter. I created this whole thing myself. Did mail order. We did. I got cassettes and 7 inches from every band and every label you can imagine in the world. I still have a stack of the first Converge 7 inch.
Oh
Like,
wow.
it was basically handmade 7 inch covers and stuff. But stuff like that. It's like you knew every little tiny little record label all over the world, because you just had this network. But it was all by mail, and you got it through fanzines, and people just you I had ads out, and people would just send me random stuff, because I had the fanzine, and I had the mail order too. So people would just send all kinds of stuff, and it was cool. You went to the record stores, you going through the vinyls, and you will find this magic shit everywhere. Like,
Yeah.
um, it would be at like Helvete, like the record store in Oslo, like, um, and you would go through shit and find all this crazy black metal stuff, or just dark like industrial stuff, or go to Blitz. There was um, a squad house that had a record store, and you can go through and find all this punk rock stuff from all over the world. It was magical, but at the same time, I think right now you don't have the same feeling now, because now when you discover something new, it's because it's randomly on your Spotify list,
Yeah.
and you don't have that physical, and you don't have all that stuff. But in return, on the pro side on it, it's like, you get to discover just random stuff while you're cleaning your kitchen, or when you're doing dishes, or you're working on your car, and suddenly, holy shit, what's that? And that can set you off to a whole new world of music, and that's the positive side for the artists themselves. Um, like, I know that there's probably tons of people who discovered Comic Christ or any of my music because of the video games, for example, or some random playlist on Spotify, or and
Well,
they
playlists are a great thing, but I feel like it is so oversaturated now. I mean, there's my God, I mean, because it's so easy to get your music out there. There's a trillion bands out there.
yeah, it's you have to dig through a lot more shit to find the gold.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's for sure. Yeah,
yeah, I mean, that's, but I feel like that's how it always been. It's kind of like live bands. I mean, how many shitty local bands do you have to hear, before you find that one good one?
you don't gotta tell me about that. I know how that goes.
That is like Spotify to me, so. But when you do hear the good stuff, it's worth it. So, and it's honestly, there's in the recording technology and all that stuff too. It's like, yes, same again, you have to dig through so much shit to find something that sounds good, because everybody can record, everybody can make music at home, and like decent quality of recording and everything. But you can find that magic artist who would never exist, because he wouldn't have had the means or the money to do so. And that suddenly somebody who just fucking blow your mind, like with a track. And that guy, you would have never heard about him if it weren't for the modern technology, because he would have just not had the money or the equipment or the contacts or anything. But he's just that magical person, or she.
Is there any newer acts that have come out recently that you're pretty into?
Nah, it's all shit. Nah, I don't. I don't know, and it's no, it's just a random around. Like I'm horrible with names too, but it's I just I listen to different stuff every day. So, but um, I'll get into like I'll get off on the deep end, crawling into like do like bluegrass and shit like this. So it's like,
Oh wow.
uh,
Yeah.
well, I mean, like I go and I'll start listening to bluegrass, and then suddenly I'm listening to some like extreme black metal, you know, like an hour later, and I haven't even noticed that the music changed because it slowly went that direction. And
I feel like I read somewhere. Aren't you? You're a big fan of Tyler Childers, aren't you?
yeah, I love Tyler Childers. Yeah.
Yeah, he's good. Some of those more like quote unquote underground country guys are just amazing.
Oh yeah, I mean like Cultural Wall, and I know these are like the two really like they're not that new, but like or gotten like crossed over into more the popular between scenes and stuff. Cultural Wall and Tyler Childers. But they're just amazing. Actually, my friend had the best description of Tyler Childers. He's like, he's the country music version of Kurt Cobain.
Oh, okay, yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
And it's I mean like after he said it, I can't stop hearing it. Like he has that same kind of nerve, like that on that's you know like from the acoustic stuff that Kurt Cobain did.
yeah.
I mean like it kind of like has that nerve to it, and it just it just hits you. So and that's how it is with music in general. Like I don't I like I'm not a big fan of pop music like in general, but anything like too poppy, because usually it's not that good of songwriting, and it's overproduced or whatever. But every now and then, if it's a good song, it's a good song, and that's how it is with every genre.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm not a pop guy either, but this new fucking Miley Cyrus album is as embarrassing as it is to say. I'll tell you what, that album, I think it's called Plastic Hearts or something. Oh my god, it is so good.
Well,
Have you heard that or no?
yeah, well, yeah, I've heard a few songs, and I mean, it's everybody says the same thing. I know it's embarrassing to say, but I love her. But it was a time where she was like, when she was like the crazy teenager trying to break away from dad, like
Oh,
with a wrecking ball and all that stuff. And it was like this whole like she tried to be crazy, and I thought it was ridiculous. And I didn't really care too much for it, and I didn't pay attention to it, and I really didn't like the songs. I still don't. But I've seen some live performances from her like live videos and the cover songs she's done and stuff like that. And she really is a super talented girl. And
she does have a great voice.
she's an amazing voice. And she has if she can take it the direction she wants, I think she can be a good good rock artist. And I think like if you look at things that are in the name of pop music, I mean, yes, Queen is probably one of the biggest pop bands that ever existed, but they were not a pop band; they were a rock band. But they're so huge, so it became like a pop band.
Yeah.
And I think she has the same. I think she has the same talent, and she can be a huge rock pop artist if she gets it the way she wants to. Like I don't think she likes her old pop shit more than we do.
The Hannah Montana stuff.
Right. Right. Now it's kind of it's kind of weird, right? Like you're watching her playing a show in like latex pants and doing a Nine Inch Nails cover, and it would be like, or every dude in the world saying drooling over her, and it'd be like, that's Hannah Montana.
Oh, all right, Andy. Where can people find you and your projects online?
Well, shit. Wherever they look for music, just look me up. I'm probably there. So, and on I'm really horrible with social media, so I'm not really doing much of that. But there's COMBICHRIST on Instagram, there's COMBICHRIST on Facebook, um, and except from that, just look it up on Spotify and iTunes and iMusic, Apple Music, or whatever all that shit is called. I don't really know,
There's
man.
so many streaming services out there, and it's hard to keep track of them all.
Yeah, no, right. So it's just wherever there's music, you'll find me. So,
all right, Andy. Well, thank you. I do appreciate it. Thank you very much.
but no problem, man.
And we will be right back on the Crash Report. Hang on.
We'll see you next time on the Crash Report. While you wait, make sure to like and subscribe to the show, damn it. Thanks for listening.